Hello friends, Ravi here. So today we are going to continue your last session, which is the if conditional structure. So let's start. So in a previous session we go with the what is the if, what is the conditional structure, and how if is working, right? So today we are going to learn about if else, nested if, and if else later. So what is a if else? In a previous session we learned about if you have some condition being execution, then we can use a if. In that case, if condition return true, then the block of code is going to execute. But what happen if you have a you have to take a decision, like if condition is written true, then this block of code is going to execute. If not, then other block of code needs to execute. In that case, if else helps you to do the same thing. Like uh, if boolean expression evaluated true, then if block is going to execute same as normal if. Otherwise, else block is going to execute by default. So let's take the syntax. So here I have a boolean expression which is a boolean condition. If it's written true, then this block of code, that is the curly braces, this and this, is going to execute it. If condition written true, condition written false, then else block is going to execute in that case. So here's the flow diagram, the same things which I explained already. Okay, so let's take example. Here I extended a previous example. Here I took a two number. First is a 13, second is a 10. In if condition, I evaluated like number one is less than number two or not. If that condition written true, then we are going to print like number two is bigger than number one. Else, the number one is bigger than number two. Okay, so let's run it. Here we have an answer like number one is bigger than number two, right? Same way, if we change the condition to say like it become a 20, and if we run, then we have an output like number 2 is bigger than number 1. Why? Because this expression, this boolean expression evaluated true and false, and based on that true and false, the block of code is going to execute. And that's why it says like a control structure, which control goes to which block of code is evaluated based on this if condition. That's why. Okay. So next is a nested if. Nested if is a nothing but a if condition inside another if block that provide a more flexibility for checking if you have a lots of condition, and based on that condition if you want to take a decisions. So let's take a syntax. Here I have a boolean condition, that is a if block, and inside of that if block I have another if else block. You might have an only if block is there, or any combination of if and nested if you can use over here. Here I take a simple syntax like if condition is written true, then this if else block is going to execute, and again the condition 2 is going to check. If condition 2 is written true, then this particular block of code is execute, otherwise this block is going to execute. Same way we can put this if else block inside this else structure as well. Based on your need and based on your programming structure, we can use any of the way, right? Here it's an flow diagram, like it's a boolean expression, that is the first condition of if. Okay, if it condition return false, then this else statement, this is a statement 3, is going to execute. If not, then boolean expression 2, that is this boolean expression 2 is going to evaluate, and based on that boolean expression true, we are saying like expression 1 or expression 2 is going to evaluate. Okay, so let's take our third variant of if else, that is if else if. We can also say like a if else later. The if statement can be followed by a operational or optional else if statement, which is known as the if else later, which is very useful in a test various condition. Like in a if else, you have only one condition, and based on that condition, you can decide like either if block is going to execute or else block is execute. But what happen if you have more than one condition, or more than one say variant of code that you want to execute or want to evaluate. In that case, if else later helps you to do the same. Okay. Using a if else statement, there is a few points which you need to keep in mind. Like if you have a 0 or 1 else, it must come after only else if condition. Here I have like we can skip else or use only if else. I will show you an example how we can do that. The second point, like if can have a 0 or many else if, they must follow before else. Like else if is always before else structure. Else is the last, which is the default one. Like any of the if else structure is not match, then else block is going to execute like that way. The third point is like once else if succeed, the remaining code is not going to be tested. Like if you have a 10 condition and let's say a fifth condition is evaluated true, then none of the remaining condition is going to be evaluated. So you have to keep in mind this point. It's very important because if you use any of say increment decrement operators or anything like that, then your that expression is not evaluated and you might get some different result than what you expect. Let's take a syntax. Here it's a syntax like I have a if, that is a boolean expression 1, then else if, that is a that is a syntax. We have to write like else space if and our next expression, that is a boolean expression 2. Like we can add any of boolean expression if using else if, and last we have a else. This else block is optional. If you have if, then that's also fine. We don't need to mandate to use else condition at the last. But the thing is, else condition should be the last part if you want to add. Okay. And based on any condition, a boolean expression, if like say third boolean expression is evaluated to true, then this line of code between these curly braces is going to execute it. None of the remaining code. Okay. So let's say example. Here in a simple example, I check the mark and based on that exam marks, I print like either it's an A grade, B grade, D grade, or either it's a fail. Here I added a condition like if marks is a less than 50, then I mark it as an a fail. If marks is a between the 50 or 60, then I say like a student is in a D grade. The same way, if mark is between a 90 and 100, then I said like a student is in a A plus grade. If I add something wrong input, then it said like an invalid result. So let's take it. Let's example. Let's run it. Here I have a C grade. Why? Because our marks is a 65 and this condition becomes true. So here if you see like yeah, once this condition becomes true and this block is going to execute it, none of the remaining condition is going to check and nothing is going to evaluate it. Okay, so let's say like if I added something like invalid marks, that is 101, in this case it prints like invalid. If none of the if condition is evaluated, then else is block is going to execute. Here else block is not a mandate. I can remove this block and I can add like 90. Okay, if I run here, student is a A plus grade, like that. Else block is not a mandatory to have it. Okay, I took one more example here, a string based example. So let's comment it first example. So we have only one result and easy to understand. Here I take like operation is a sum, then we are printing like a u selected addition operation. Same way if operation is a minus, then it says like u selected minus operation. Same way we can check over here. So let's run it. Yep. Yes, we have a selected addition operation like that way. Here if you note I haven't write any else condition. If you want some default operation like you want to say like none of condition is matched, then you can say like you have some wrong input like that. Okay. Yeah, that's it from a conditional structure of if. Thank you for watching. We will cover the conditional structure switch case in a next session. Thank you.